I'm making this video from the perspective of somebody that is into metaphysics and who studies the Bible but am no longer practicing in the religion of any sort of Christianity. So, this video may not be for those of you that are fully into this religion, into the religion of Christianity in any way, because it might do a little Mexican hat dance all on your feelings, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm just giving an explanation to people who are probably torn apart by this one quote that's inside of the Bible and repeated over and over and over again to people in ways of control, in ways of guilting, shaming, of just in installing powerlessness in people, which is something that it was definitely not meant to do. It was not meant to do this to people. It was meant to actually empower them. So, again, this is a warning for those of you that may be listening that is full on into Christianity. This is another perspective. You may not like it, so please be fair warned. And on that note, I'm going to get into it. Honor thy mother and thy father is one of the commandments, and it is extremely important in that it helps you through a lot of stuff. And it's not what it's meant, what it's said. It is not what it is put as. Honoring thy mother and thy father is actually you. It's honoring you. It's honoring yourself. But the masculine and feminine dynamic within the self, the yin and yang, the male and female energies that help you live, period, that brought you here, period. No matter what you identify with or whatever, this has nothing to do with how people identify sexually or anything like that, just or has anything to do with your literal father or your literal mother. It has nothing to do with any of those things. There's a thing that seems to be on repeat in this Bible, and that it basically is telling you life things that's in your face because there is nothing new under the sun. So you have to take the story and transpose or transmute or transform the essence of the story into a daily life experience, and it echoes everywhere. So this is what that is going to be with honor thy mother and thy father. Yes, you're supposed to be respectful of your parents, but if your parents are not respectful of you, then there's going to be problems, and they themselves are not honoring thy mother and thy father. This new phenomenon of people being anxiously attached and avoidant, and also now people no contact with their parents, is as a result of this one thing here. They were not honoring thy mother and thy father. It was echoed from the initial parent unit. The parental unit installed it in them because their parents installed it in them. And it passed on and on and on throughout the generations. And here you are, this is your time, and you have that. And it was not bestowed upon you the correct way because the parents didn't know how to do it. And so now we are a lot more aware of how we're supposed to treat children, because really this society right now secretly hates children. It's really I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It's very in your face. They'd rather their pets than they'd rather their children. And they have commercials that are jokes and all that sort of stuff, but it really isn't. It's not funny. Like the last century, it was okay to make my wife suck jokes. Like, oh, my wife, she's such a pain. And people now would be like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. Well, we are getting there with children eventually because some of the stuff that we do now is just not funny. So, but it's perpetuating this thing of not honoring the mother and the father, the masculine and feminine dynamics within the self. The the balance is necessary in order for your life to be balanced. The father and the mother, they are symbolized in multiple ways. And in one instance of honor thy father and thy mother, it's thoughts and emotion. Of course, thoughts being father and emotions being mother. When you are manifesting and you are spiraling, you're having anxiety, you're depressed, all that sort of stuff, you are not honoring thy mother. And the father needs to step forward and take care of that by either directing the thoughts in the correct way, because your thoughts are going to stimulate the emotions, or if it is too much, being still and not thinking, quieting the mind, so that the higher self can get involved and then take over and then guide you through. Then the thoughts will come back on, because you're not going to be not thinking forever. That's not, some people can't stop thinking in their mind for more than 5 seconds. And with practice, you can have the silence. The thoughts then will activate and start thinking and in a positive direction, because you have decided that you're not going to go back into the negative direction, stimulating more negative emotions. You're going to have either neutral thoughts, no thoughts, or positive thoughts. And those thoughts are going to stimulate the emotions. And then you will get into the pattern of having more positive thoughts, more aligned thoughts, thoughts that are not contrary to where you want to be. And then the emotions will be more neutralized, more calmer, maybe more excited, and things will start to turn for you. That's what is supposed to happen when you're honoring thy mother and thy father in that instance, when you're considering the father and the mother as thoughts and emotions. So there's a way other a lot of other stuff that are tied to this, because this is the law of gender. This is the law of gender that people are now starting to kind of wake up to, because I'm hearing it more and more online than before, but still uh, it's time to come out. And the law of gender has been has been really it's been really mucked over a lot, and ignored. And as a result, it really messes with people's lives. The religions, they have done a real bang up job about dealing with that, because they didn't really know it, because it's so subtle. The law of gender can repel and magnetize things to you. It is not anything that is to be ignored, and it's everywhere and everything. It is it's that intense. It is so intense that we see it now with the fertility rates dropping, and also more women in the United States having lots more fertility problems, because they are forced into dishonoring their mother, with lots of work and lots of stuff that they're spreading themselves thin on. Oh gosh, there's so much. You can, if you understand the law of gender, you start to see where you yourself have to adjust yourself, and you start to see where other people are having issues in their lives because of the lack or the imbalance of the law of gender. Um, People that have some lots of reproductive issues, like women, automatically there's a problem in the divine feminine. The divine masculine, the father and the mother, they go hand in hand, and you have to balance them out. But anyways, the honor thy father and thy mother, again, is about you and your thoughts and your emotions, and making sure that when you are thinking, that you're thinking appropriately for your desired end, or you're not thinking at all. You don't want to go into positive, I have to be positive, that's forcing. That I have to be, that urgency, you're in that instance dishonoring your mother, because now you're feeling anxious, because now you're worried, because now you feel the stress. That is that emotion right there. You're dishonoring the mother. So You have to neutralize, balance yourself out, and be still, be quiet, or do what I now call the pause method, which is basically you just stop all your thoughts and don't think anything about the emotion. So, like, if the emotion comes up, you're not going to ignore it. You're not going to be like, oh, I feel sad. Don't do that. You're not going to label it. You're not going to say anything. You're just going to recognize, oh, I'm feeling something. Don't put a label to it. Don't say anything. Just allow it to be there. Don't try to jump around it. And don't try to say, "Oh, I'm fine. This is I'm gonna." Don't try to affirm beyond it. Just sit right there with it. If you're gonna cry, you allow yourself to cry. But if thoughts come up with the tears, then you're doing too much. You just let those tears come. You don't think anything. You allow them to be. You hush your mind and you say, "No, I'm letting this out. Let this be something." Because the only reason why it feels terrible is because you start putting thoughts behind it. You don't want to do that. So you pause all of that. You stop everything, and then you allow the feeling in your body to move, because you'll sometimes feel it move. You allow it to just be there. You can tell it eventually, depending on how good you get at, well, not how good, how quick you become able to recognize what's happening. You'll eventually be able to tell it to either move, or that feeling that's inside your body to move, or tell it to transmute to the opposite, and then you can feel it. But that's way further. Sometimes in the beginning, you just have to just be still and pause, and then you start to allow yourself to live your life as you're pausing. You're not thinking anything, because you could be at work writing something and then something hits you, and you do that pause method. You just stop it. You just stop that thought and you allow that feeling to be. You do some deep breathing. It's feminine flow. If you know what that is, then you know. But if not, just, I guess, basically move your body. And also there's I guess people do this tapping. There's all sorts of stuff. Do whatever it is that's going to help alleviate whatever, but don't think any thoughts with it. You're just doing it, and you're allowing that emotion to be there. You're not labeling the emotion. And then you go back to typing when it passes, because it will pass. And then if it comes up again, you do the same exact thing. You just be still. And then that being still part is just knowing that you're there. You feel in the seat on underneath you. You feel in your shoes, your socks. You know that somebody calls your name. You're gonna be like, yeah, I'm here. But you're not saying anything. You're just being aware of being where you are. And then knowing that you are the I am. And that's another video, and I will leave a link for that video, and you can get an understanding what I mean when I say I am, because I don't really think that they give a really great explanation on that, and it seems to be a lot more complicated. When I watch any videos or hear anybody or talk to anybody about all these things, it seems like there's a lot more complexity than really what there is. Because if you are the I am, why would you make things hard? Because if you know you know you don't want to work hard. So now, why would the concept of knowing I am be so hard? You wouldn't. You wouldn't make it so hard. Why would the concept of I am be so hard? It wouldn't be, because you wouldn't make it that hard, because you know who you are. You're just going to be like, no, I'm going to make this super easy. What would that super easy be? And whatever comes to mind, then that's it. That's it. Anyways, that's the end of this video. The whole honor thy mother and thy father has been changed about, hopefully, inside of your minds. You understand honoring your thoughts and your emotions. When you hear honor thy mother and thy father, you understand if you're feeling really sad in that moment, that is okay. But you have to honor thy mother and appease yourself. Also, you have to work with your awareness of your anxieties and how you're feeling about certain things, and take control in the ways that you need to as you balance yourself out so that you can see the things that you want to manifest easy and effortlessly, because that's what you deserve. Anyway, that is the end of this video. Please leave a comment and let me know, what do you think of my interpretation, my metaphysical interpretation of honor thy mother and thy father. If you liked it, please expound. If you do not, I guess you can still leave a comment, just as long as it's not disrespectful, because it still helps my algorithm. So yeah, bye.